Hey Faith Folk, welcome and welcome back. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about some doll gimmicks that just either fell flat or weren't good ideas to begin with. So I think it was last week. It was definitely no more than 2 weeks ago. I did a video of the best Barbie gimmicks, specifically Barbie for that one. And we talked about gimmick dolls that really succeed in that area and like they are nice dolls despite or even sometimes like it's enhanced by the gimmick. Whereas now we're doing the kind of negative version of that. I did originally intend for this to also be a Barbie specific video, but I asked you guys here on YouTube and then also over on Instagram for submissions for the worst Barbie gimmicks ever. And like definitely there were responses, so thank you to all of you for responding. But there were way less than there were like the positive gimmicks that I had asked about. Hi Reese, are you here to visit us? What a little cutie patootie. Which honestly, I think that's awesome. I think it's really lovely that it was easier for you guys to think of gimmick dolls from Barbie that you loved versus ones that you hated. I think that's a nice little positive light here, but I wanted to make a negative video. So I did expand it and I asked you guys again for just the worst gimmicks from any doll brand. So now we have enough nonsense, negative nonsense to talk about today. I do think I'll end up probably doing a video for the best non-Barbie gimmicks to just kind of balance it out because otherwise it might bother me. And also it is nice, like it would be nice to celebrate other brands that have had good gimmick dolls as well. But for today, we are focusing on the negative and we're going to be talking about gimmick dolls that just for one reason or another, not that super. Of course, like everything I say is going to be my opinion. Some of it is like submissions from you guys, but that's all anonymous, you know. And you obviously are free to disagree with any of the things I say in this video. Just do please kind of be calm about it if we don't share the same opinion. Also, side note, this is like more personal, but I decided to try not wearing foundation today and I'm feeling really oddly naked and insecure about it. So if my face looks weird, don't say anything or no, tell me because I want to know. But be nice about it. Anyway, now we can get into like actual looking at the dolls. So we are going to be starting off with the Barbie dolls that were bad gimmick dolls, just because that was like the way that I ended up gathering them, and then we will move on to the non-Barbie dolls. So we're really starting off with a banger here. This is Growing Up Skipper, who was a Skipper doll who started off as like a quote-unquote normal Skipper doll, and then you could lift her arm and she would get taller and also grow boobs, which certainly is a doll that exists. This is certainly something that got produced. This I do think is unfortunate because in concept, I do think that it's not inherently the worst idea in the sense that growing up and like going through puberty is a very like tumultuous time. It's a difficult time. It can be really scary. And so I do think that the idea of having a doll that kind of normalizes that and like educates on it and makes it seem more like, oh, see, like your doll's doing it too. Like you're not alone. I do think that that is like a good concept. However, I think the execution just really honestly ruined it. I feel like if they had just left this at like the doll grows taller, that would have been fine. I think like a lot of the issue is like the boobs getting bigger, which obviously some people who go through puberty grow boobs and like that's fine and normal and dandy. I think this doll would have been more helpful if her gimmick was that she got taller and then maybe she came with like an educational book about puberty. I think that could have been like a good balance. I also think like the marketing for this kind of made it weird because I'm being charitable, I guess, in my thought process of this being an educational moment or like a guiding moment. But the way they market it, like even on the box that you're seeing here where it says cute little girl and then tall curvy teenager, I just, it feels like a little bit weird. And then like it's harder to see on the side, but it says see her grow slim and something and curvy and then turn her arm all the way around. She's cute and young again. I don't, just the wording that they're using. Maybe it was different at the time that this doll came out, but in the modern day, the wording that they're using does feel a little bit strange and like uncomfortable, quite frankly. I don't think that there's any need to be like, oh, cute and young and like, ooh, and then like tall, curvy, like that feels fucking weird. So I want to say that there's a version of this doll that could be a good educational resource and like a good like guiding tool for people who are going through puberty and are like having a tough time with it. But this is definitely not that doll. Like definitely did not get executed in a way that feels nice and comforting. And instead it just feels really quite strange. So yeah, not a good one. Then on like a much less serious note, this was by far the most submitted like answer to my question of what's the worst Barbie gimmick doll, and also just what's my worst gimmick doll, or what's the worst gimmick doll overall. And that is Barbie color reveal. Y'all hate these, and I get it. That's valid. One of you specifically mentioned talking about the like Monster High School Ultimate Secrets keys that they used to do, where you had to like clean the key off to see which door it would unlock, and it was like a whole thing. And saying that that was already messy and gross, and then like to have the Barbie dolls where it's the entire doll is like that, it's just really nasty. And then underneath, they do tend to have a lot of molded on accessories, very cheap like fabrics when the fabrics are used and everything. So I totally get it. I just thought it was really comical that y'all like really zeroed in and hated these. It was really funny to me, but also I completely agree. Like, I don't know, the reveal thing is like cool for a second. And then it's just like, okay, well, now I have this doll that is like not as cool as the other dolls. So yeah, not a fan of these either. Ooh, okay, this one is a hot take. So this is Happy Family Midge, who came with a baby and a pregnant belly that you could put the baby inside of. And this caused so much controversy. Like if you look up I can't pronounce things today, controversial Barbie dolls, this is always on the list. And quite frankly, I don't get it. I truly don't understand. Like, is it a tad bit horrifying? Maybe. But also, giving birth is kind of horrifying. I don't know. I don't think that this is quite the same as the growing up skipper, because that one I do feel like was executed in a way that is like maybe accurate sometimes for some people, but also really just weird in the marketing and the way they framed it, and like unnecessary in the way they executed that. Whereas this is just like, yeah, this is a mom whose belly can have a baby in it, which is a reality. And also like so many people go through having their mom be pregnant while they are like at the age that they might be playing with dolls because they're getting a younger sibling. And so I don't honestly see anything wrong with this doll, just because I don't feel like the marketing is creepy in the same way as like growing up skipper was. I feel like it's very natural and normal for like pregnancy and birth to occur. Obviously, like the human species would have died out a long time ago if that wasn't natural and normal. Me personally, never. I'm child free for life, baby. But like I get that that's something that a lot of people go through, and also that a lot of people want to go through. And it's something that a lot of people see their mom go through, like I said. So I feel like this was controversial because people were like overly conservative about it. Like there was a whole thing about making sure that she had a wedding ring painted on so that she wasn't like some unmarried harlot having a baby. God forbid. That's obviously the worst thing ever you can be. Heavy sarcasm, just to be super clear. But I don't think this is a bad gimmick. Some of y'all submitted it, but like, I don't really think this is bad. So I just wanted to take the second to defend Midge here. Ooh, this was another one that y'all submitted a lot. So this is Kissing Barbie, who I'd never heard of up until preparing for this video, and it is like a little horrifying. So she's a doll who like actively like kind of smooches, like her head moves forward to give you a little smooch. And I am sure that the idea is like perfectly innocent and fun, and like it's supposed to just be wholesome, but like I don't know. It does feel like a little bit weird. Not like bad weird necessarily in the same way as like the skipper doll, but just like a little strange. And like the execution might be a bit uncanny and uncomfortable. So I get it. This next one makes me sad because like if we lived in an ideal world where people weren't like disgusting, this would be so cute. But unfortunately, we have to include it here. So the Video Girl Barbie doll was a Barbie that came with a camera like built in to her body, and then you could like upload the footage to your computer, which again, in an ideal world, I think that's actually so cool. Like the idea of having your doll also be a camera that you can like talk to her and like do a little like cutesy vlog. I mean, it wouldn't have necessarily been called a vlog at the time this doll came out, but I think that's cute, and I feel like that could be a fun way for kids who are playing with this doll to first be introduced to like cameras or uploading like the videos, not online necessarily. Like I really don't think that like footage, hi baby, hi, footage of kids should necessarily be online, because again, we don't live in an ideal world. But I guess if you're putting this in an ideal world, that would be so cute to like upload the footage to your computer and like share it with your friends. Like I think the concept for this is precious. And once again, in a world where people aren't gross, then I think this would be a really wonderful gimmick and a really fun thing and a very interactive doll for kids to play with. Unfortunately, we live in the world that we live in, and people are disgusting when it comes to children. And so this is like a huge safety hazard. Like, it's such a huge safety hazard to have your kid being able to film themselves and then upload that footage, because unsavory characters can find a way to access that and use it for horrible means. So unfortunately, I understand why this doll had to make the list, and it just really sucks because, like, I would love to live in a world where young kids could play with a doll like this and not have to be afraid, or like their parents wouldn't have to be afraid on their behalf. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. And in the world we live in, this doll's a little creepy. So that sucks, but it is what it is. This video is getting too serious. That's not how I meant for it to come out, but here we are. Okay, back to the non-seriousness here. A lot of y'all mentioned winking dolls in general, but a lot of you also mentioned this doll in particular. So this is the Western winking Barbie, whose gimmick was that she winked at you, which sounds really cute and wholesome. Just like a cheeky little, I can't wink, so I can't like, but you know, it's supposed to be fun. But unfortunately, the eyes do just look extremely creepy. Like they're just kind of, it's so creepy. It just didn't hold up with age, I think, is the thing. Like I don't know, because like I didn't see this as a kid. I don't even know when this came out. I don't know what it would have looked like in its prime. So y'all can let me know if you like you had this Barbie when it first came out, if it like looked better. But definitely over the years, time has not been kind to her and her winking eyes. Okay, this one is super interesting to me. So this is the Barbie doll that came with Tanner the dog, right? I'm not crazy. Tanner the dog, who would like eat treats and then poop them out, and then you could like poop scoop them. This did end up being recalled because there were like, I think it was magnets that were in there that were like falling off, and so that became like a safety hazard for kids. So that is understandable. But it's also apparently just like a really interestingly controversial toy. And I kind of get it, because on the one hand, it's not the most glamorous. Like, it's a little gross to have a main feature of your toy be poop. But also that's weirdly common in kids' toys. Like the amount of toys that are like centered around poop. I mean, Poopsie Slime Surprise. That was after this. So maybe things just got weirder. I do not understand though why so many children's toys involve poop or like going to the bathroom. I think it is a little bit odd as an adult looking in. So I do think this is interesting because I feel like this is way less offensive than some of the poop toys we get now, like way less just strange. Because like, yeah, like if you have a dog, you're going to have to clean up its poop sometimes. That's just like part of it. So on the one hand, I'm like, ew, poop toy. But also it does kind of feel almost helpful because like you could get a kid this doll. Obviously, like there's a lot more that goes into caring for a dog. But like if they're grossed out by the toy poop, they're obviously not going to be able to like handle the responsibility of having a real dog with like real poop, right? I don't know. I guess I can see like a use for this. I can also see where it would gross people out. So I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. Aside from the magnets and like the safety issue, that's separate. But just as it comes, if it were working properly, I could go either way. Okay, this one I'm including because a few of you submitted it, and it was like common enough for me to feel like I really had to include it, but I don't get this at all. This is Shaving Fun Ken. I think they have done a couple of different Ken dolls that have some sort of shaving gimmick, but it's like some sort of color change thing where he has like a printed on beard, and then you can like use the solution that it comes with to shave it off of him, and then it will come back. I think that's really fun. Like, I mean, explain it in the comments, like for sure, elaborate. Because so many of y'all, no, I shouldn't say so many of y'all, but like enough of y'all mentioned him to where I felt like I had to put him in the video. But I fully don't understand why this would be a bad gimmick. I think that's like high key really fun. Yeah, I think this one's kind of creative and interesting and fun. So I don't really see the issue, but let me know. Why did I pick so many that are like weirdly deep and controversial? Why do I do this to myself? We've got Teen Talk Barbie, who is another Barbie who is likely to be included on lists of controversial Barbies, which are not always Barbies with gimmicks, just to be clear. But like She just so happens to be one. The issue with Teen Talk Barbie, I'm almost certain it was this one. There's like a smidge of doubt in the back of my head. But I think this was the doll that had like relatively normal phrases and then also had the phrase math is hard. And like she speaks to you, that's the gimmick. As she's a talking doll, she's got some pre-recorded phrases, which like that's all cool and dandy. The issue really is the oh, math is hard. And it's just so hard for me because it's like I can absolutely see where that would maybe be a bad message to children, especially because girls are more likely to be playing with dolls, and girls are also more likely to be discouraged from going into like math and science fields because they're difficult or not feminine or whatever stupid reason people come up with. So I can understand why including the phrase math is hard is like maybe not great because it might be planting that idea in kids' heads that like, oh, this is hard. Like maybe I can't do this. But at the same time, math is hard. I'm not very good at math. And so it also is just something that's like relatable. Like you're a kid, you're going through math class and suddenly they start including like letters with the numbers and you have to solve for X. And you're like, I thought we were just doing like 9 plus 5 here. What's going on? Math is hard. So it's like, it is relatable, but I can also see where it would be kind of like a negative message. Ultimately, I just mostly think that this didn't need to be included. Like, you didn't have to include that line and you could have like avoided the controversy. I don't know. Again, this is one that I kind of go 50-50 on because like I can absolutely see kind of both sides of it. And without any hard data on like how people were actually affected, I don't feel like it's easy for me to go one way or another. But yeah, I feel like they should have just like kept this one kind of frivolous and not really included that. I was so glad that one of you guys submitted this answer and reminded me that this doll exists. I did a video where I ranked all of the birthday Barbie dolls and I talked about this doll on it. So she's a birthday Barbie, and you might notice that her face looks slightly different. I'm not going to be able to get through this without laughing. It's just so bad. The gimmick is she's supposed to blow up balloons for you, which is such a cute idea, but how did this get greenlit? Because if you look at this doll, come on, I can't be the only one thinking it, right? Especially like the mouth with like the hole just kind of awkwardly carved in, the vacant expression, and then especially this arm pose, like something about that. Like if she had articulated arms, I feel like it would be less awful, but the way she's just like stuck like that with her mouth, like she looks like an adult doll. I'm just going to say it. She looks like a doll whose primary use is not blowing balloons. I couldn't hold it together. She looks like an adult doll. So like fun concept, but someone should have looked at this and been like, guys, we gotta not do that. Ooh, this one. So this is the rollerblade Barbie who had essentially lighters on her skates. And it not like minus like the fuel part, right? Like the intention was not to start fires, but just to like cause sparks. Promptly recalled because even sparks can like start fires and that's kind of dangerous. I completely understand that in the sense of like that is super dangerous for kids. As an adult though, it's so hard for me to be like, oh, this is a bad gimmick because that's so fun. It's so fun. I know it's dangerous. I know it's not safe. I know even adults could play with this and like really cause trouble. It's still fun. That brings us to the end of the bad gimmick Barbie dolls, but don't worry, we still have tons to talk about. Starting off with the Winter Wonderland dolls from Rainbow High, the like newer winter line from them. I did want this one to kind of be representative of the most common answer in general from you guys for like the non-Barbie ones, which was just any sort of slime doll. I hear you. I do think this is one of the more egregious examples, which is why we're using that. And also some of you did point out this one specifically. So I actually double checked because like I was doing my homework for this video. So bear with me for a second. I'm going to read the description of the Winter Wonderland dolls. It says, it's a winter wonderland at Rainbow High. Your favorite dolls, Bella, Sunny, Skylar, and Violet are ready for the snow, which like Is Violet a favorite? I'm just being mean. Anyway, not only are the Rainbow High Winter Wonderland fashion dolls' snowy outfits gorgeous, but there's magic snow hidden inside that will transform each outfit. Just add water and watch the outfits puff up. Bonus, each doll also includes a make-your-own snowman kit with multiple snow and fun accessories. Key thing here is the magic snow hidden inside the outfits that you need to add water to. The magic snow is in the outfit already. I was thinking of buying the Sunny from this line up until I realized that the snow was already in there. I thought it was something that you would like put in yourself, but no, it's something that's already in there that you can't really remove unless you like actively cut it out of the outfit. And then you're supposed to add water and it will puff up. So you've got this enclosed space that you can't access to fully clean out unless you cut it open and therefore ruin that garment that you are meant to put water into. Does anyone else feel like that might be a huge issue when it comes to mold? Like, that just seems like an absolute disaster waiting to happen. At least like the slime dolls that kind of initiated the Rainbow High reboot. Yes, they were like, oh, you could put the slime in the shoes or in the bag, but at least that's like a smaller thing that is like contained. And also, like the slime is more mixed. It definitely still has the potential to cause mold, but like it's more mixed and like less liquidy, I feel. And it's smaller pieces. Like if you have to sacrifice the shoes, it's going to be mostly okay. But like this is the entire outfit that you would lose. And to directly be injecting water into an enclosed space, it just feels like an extremely bad idea to me. I don't know why they were like, this is the move. I feel like it would have made much more sense. I mean, it would have been very expensive, probably, like too expensive for them to be willing to do it. But I feel like it would have made more sense if they had certain parts of their outfit that had like the snaps on it. And then it was just you make slime and put it in there and then you can unsnap it to clean it out. And it would open nicely and like fold open so you could like really make sure everything's clean and dry in there. I still think it would look ugly because I really don't like the way that like this gimmick looks on the dolls. But at least that way I feel like there is a way to mitigate the issue. But what are you supposed to do here? Like this is just a recipe for mold, and that's gross, but also depending on the type of mold can be dangerous. It also depending on like the person who's playing with this, if you have a mold allergy, even a more benign mold could be a problem if you're allergic to it. So like this just seems like a really, really, really bad idea all around. And I am honestly a bit surprised that it got produced, but here we are. Continuing on with Rainbow High, their new like creative crystals line where you have to use resin to make the accessory. I think this is wild choice. I talked about this in my Dolls I Don't Want video, like the most recent one. I think it was the most recent one. There's already other toys, Make It Mini, Miniverse, that like require resin. But I do think that those feel like they're aimed at like a slightly like higher age range. Even so, already was like a huge recall for it because of the fact that resin is dangerous. It's not something that you can safely just like put on your hands and like, oh, teehee, let me just wash it off. Like it is a dangerous substance that you need to be very, very careful when dealing with. And then to put it after the recall is insane also. Like if this were beforehand, it would be like, okay, well, they haven't faced repercussions. So like, even though they probably should know better, it's like, I kind of get it because corporate greed and whatever. But like after the recall to push this out is actually bonkers to me. But the other thing that really bothers me with this is that with the reboot, Rainbow High has made a distinctive move towards a younger age range. They used to be aimed at like a slightly like older kid demographic. Obviously, like adult collectors is not really factored into like the recommended age on the box, right? They're moving with their designs and like all of the gimmicks and everything that they're putting into these dolls towards a younger demographic. So to intentionally be like, oh, we want younger children to be playing with this, let's also include a dangerous chemical is really messed up to me. That's like not a vibe in any capacity. I just think that's an unbelievably strange decision at best and a really harmful decision at worst. So 100% agree with y'all who submitted this. It's strange and it's not good. I got a lot of this one too. Just the Ghouls Alive line from Gen 1 of Monster High in general. Some of y'all did give like specific ghouls, but each of these characters had different gimmicks. So like the Claudine that you're seeing on screen would like Howl. I think the Spectra glowed, maybe. I think Rebecca's like chest popped open and you could like see her robotic innards and all that. Some of them were definitely better executed than others. Like the Rebecca, I think maybe the best of the line. I just think she looked the least uncanny. Other ones looked absolutely horrifying, like this Claudine. Like it's basically the normal Monster High doll, but with the gimmick added, and especially the ones that mess with the face. I feel like it just makes the face look so strange and like so creepy. And it's frankly not worth it. Like the gimmick isn't that exciting. It's for her especially, it's literally just like Howl. I don't even think I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think she said anything. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But like you could just get a normal Claudine doll and pose her hands and pretend. And it wouldn't look as creepy. Weird decision. Okay, this one, y'all know I had to include it. The My Scene Fab Faces dolls, I feel like, are some of the first dolls I think of when I think of gimmicks that are executed poorly. Not even a bad idea. I think the idea of having a doll that can, like, express different emotions is kind of fun, but it just looks so creepy. That's really it. Like, the face just always looks creepy kind of no matter what because of the mechanics inside of it to where it can like change and shift. And over the years as these dolls have gotten older and like they've been played with more, I think they've only gotten more horrifying. So like they had to be on today's video. There's no way I could make this video once I had realized I was going to talk about other than like just Barbie. They had to be included. Oh my god. Okay. These next ones, so bad. So bad. The Transforming Ghouls, I think that was the line name, from G2 of Monster High. We talked in the like positive Barbie version of this video about good transforming dolls. Specifically, I talked about the like Mermaidia Barbie where she could go from a fairy to a mermaid and it looked very seamless. Both versions of the doll looked good, looked right, looked like they had been designed to look that way. And it wasn't like a super obvious and glaring transformation gimmick. This one is that because what is happening here with Claudine? Like her untransformed, like less wolfy form, she's got this weird headpiece on and like these inexplicable plastic pieces poking out behind her skirt. And then her transformed form, she has a mask on and like a weird halo of plastic and fur. What? Like it's not a good transforming gimmick because you can see it that it's meant to transform. And in this case, neither version looks quite right. Another one that I wanted to highlight from the same line, because like they're just so bad, is the Laguna. So she starts out with this dress with this like random plastic hood. And it's just kind of like, you look at it and you're like, that doesn't feel like an intentional design. Like there's obviously something going on here. And then it unrolls and she transforms into a mermaid form of herself. But I just don't think it's like a very pretty mermaid form of herself. I just don't think it looks that great. Like, especially when you think about the Barbie one that we talked about. That's so much better. This just looks weird. So yeah, bad transformations. Another one that is like an example of a bad transformation is from Ever After High. This is the 2-in-1 Ashlyn Ella. It's just so bad. Her transformation is that she gets like a longer skirt. So like the lower portion of her skirt can draw up underneath the shorter portion. This is just rough all around. She doesn't have a whole lot of articulation. She's got like the molded on top, which I do think actually, I think the top piece can like pop off. I think there's like something underneath it and then like the over shirt pops off to like give it more of a transformation, but it just doesn't look good. And then neither of the skirts feels intentional. Like it looks cheap. It doesn't look good. This is really just like a doll that was produced for the sake of the gimmick, and that is it. Like there's not really any good aesthetic. It doesn't feel like it was something that had a lot of time or effort put in. It was just like transform the doll. So not a great one. And then we are going to be ending the video with the Mystics dolls. So funnily enough, I like just watched a deep dive on these dolls right before I was preparing for this video, which is super hilarious because up until then, I don't know that I'd ever heard of them before. They are kind of one of those dolls that like was clearly inspired by Monster High. The concept for these was that they have a human form and then a monster form. I don't know, is this one? I think this one's a vampire that is like I'm showing you on screen. And the way that they did this was they would come with different wigs that you could change. So they would have one color of hair for their human form and then one color of hair for their monster form. And then they would also have two faces. one face on the back of the head and then one face obviously on the front of the head, and you would like spin it around. And I do think in some capacity, like the concept is interesting. The idea that like, oh, you have a really transforming doll. But the idea of playing with this doll and having the second face poke out from behind the hair is so horrifying. Like, that's just so scary. I feel like this is the kind of doll that would have actively creeped me out as a kid. So maybe not the worst idea, but the execution might leave something to be desired. But yes, guys, those are all of the terrible gimmick dolls that I wanted to discuss today. Some were just kind of silly, some were a little bit more intense, a little bit more serious. But I would love to hear your thoughts on the dolls that we discussed today in the comments down below. And also if there's any other dolls that like this video made you think of and you're like, oh my gosh, this was also a terrible one, feel free to drop those as well. I would love to look them up and be horrified. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night, whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.